Hello and welcome to Mid Academy and Lion Film Dive Podcast, episode 60, Animal Kingdom, our first Australian film podcast. We're diving into the Aussie film landscape now because we've been wanting to do this for quite some time and we've been going back and forwards going, we're doing Aussie films, we're going to do Aussie films, let's do Aussie films.
Here we
when
go.
are we doing Aussie films?
So Animal Kingdom is a lovely film where we get to see these animals in their habitat.
No, this is nothing to do with the Aussie outback.
That's not. We don't get to see any kangaroos. We don't get to see any wombats, platypuses.
No.
Nothing huggable.
No.
This is a film that anyone should watch, no matter where you're from. It's very interesting.
Well, they made a Netflix TV show out of it, Americanized version.
Yeah, of course.
Which is still going strong. I'll just rewatch this film over and over and over, and that's enough for me.
Yeah, no, there's a lot in this film, so definitely rewatching this one, there will be you'll get more out of it as you go.
Absolutely. I think this was my fourth time seeing it since it came out. I've probably seen half of it and turn it off here and there. Probably in a total of 6 times now. But I just absolutely love everything about this film. As soon as it came out, I think I got onto it, and it just sort of kick-started the whole Aussie crime renaissance for me, where I was just so into it. And that's when Ben Mendelsohn obviously was this sort of reignited his career. This is one of those films that just launched him back into the stratosphere of Hollywood, picked him up, and he was in many, many Hollywood films after this point.
Yeah.
And not only that, we got Joel Edgerton, who also basically, this was another launch pad for him, where he just sort of took off. I don't know if it was due to this film in general, but this had a massive impact on the filmmakers. What do you call it? The film landscape, I suppose I'll just call it. It echoed throughout, and everyone in this film is just top-notch acting from the smallest character or roles to the top, and even the main guy, James Freshville, I don't know how you pronounce his last name, but he's also brilliant. I think this was his first film.
Yeah.
This probably comes from theatre background. I'm not too sure, but you got Jackie Weaver, another Australian, actress that's been around, female actor that's been around for quite some time. It's also had another resurgence in her career due to this film.
Yeah, especially in the last few years, she's huge in Hollywood right now. She's getting roles.
She was in. She's been in so much since Animal Kingdom. Like, I just watched another film with her in it. Was it Silver Linings Playbook? Yeah, Silver Linings Playbook. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Like, she just kept jumping in all these awesome films.
For anyone who hasn't seen this film, I guess, Brandon, you're probably the best person just to give us a 30-second synopsis of this film, and then we can start diving into a bit more of the substance of the
Okay, I'll try and do it quickly. A young kid is under 18. His mother overdoses on heroin in the first opening scene, and it just basically spirals from there, where he's sort of taken in by his crime extended family. His auntie takes him in, and her sons and all that. It's a crime family, and basically, spirals out of control from there. And a detective also gets involved and tries to save him from this criminal future that he's found himself in. How's that?
Yeah, perfect. I think
sense?
that gives enough. So normally we don't really bother about synopsises, but I think this film sort of, because it is so different and a lot of people probably haven't seen it, I think it sort of helps with this film. So I guess if we start delving into it, so to me the number one thing for this film is it is just brilliantly made, brilliantly directed, and only a true filmmaker can make a film like this where it seems like all of the actors are singing one single hymn sheet. Every element of it, the editing to the music, to the locations, to everything about it is all there serving the purpose of creating this creating this amazing story and explaining it to a way that humanizes it, that gives it life, gives it substance, and it makes it all about the story, and it's more than just bad versus good. And I really like that about this film.
Yeah. I think not only is this film enhanced by the Australian aesthetic or the Australian landscape. I keep saying the word landscape, but it's not an American crime story. It's not an English crime story. It's an Australian crime story.
That's right, yeah.
And that's what really not only brings it home for me, because it feels like, you know, a few degrees from separation at times with some things in the film. But also they name drop a lot of areas like Hawthorne or Ivanhoe, suburbs that are, you know, just outside of Melbourne City, you know, in Melbourne City, sorry.
The inner suburbs.
In some of the street names and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it feels close to home.
That's right, it does.
And it's also baffling as well, but also very, very relatable in a lot of ways, because it's kind of like, this is where some people, unfortunately, this way of life engulfs them, whether they want it or not, because their families are either involved in it or friends are, and they just basically end up in this kind of way of life. And it's always interesting to me if it's done right in a film. Like even Underbelly, the first season when that came out, was pretty cool. And
that would really really took everyone by storm. I remember people talking about that for ages.
Yeah. That first season of Underbelly was great, but anything after that, I didn't like.
But
I don't know.
For me, I guess just going off what you're saying, I think for what it did right is because it's something that most of us have no idea about. You know, that whole crime thing that lives in the suburbs that we all live in. There is this other side of things behind the closed doors that you don't see, and you just see what's on the news. Or someone is bad and they did a bad thing, right? But what this does is it shows you that it's not just people doing bad things because they want to. They're doing it for whatever it might be. You know, their own human thoughts, feelings. They're upset, they're angry, their ego's involved. There's all of the human elements that we all go through that play a part in someone, you know, getting killed or whatever it might be, you know, getting injured or someone doing a bad thing to someone. And this is why, you know, it's more than just someone did something bad because they wanted to.
Yeah. It's not clear cut. And no one's life ever is, really. Because I'm such a easygoing, positive, nice person, but I've witnessed some pretty crazy shit. You know, I've hanged out with some people that I shouldn't have, and got myself out of it quick smart, because I could see, even just on the outskirts of it, you know, like how quickly and how easily it can be to find yourself wrapped up in this criminal underworld. And you know, whether it was drug dealing or you know, like getting into gangs and getting up to mischief or whatnot, like, you know, there's I mean, there's been people in my life that I've hung out with and sort of seen their trajectory get worse and worse, and I've just distanced myself and cut them off basically, and got the fuck out of there, because it was, you know, I could see, you know, and that's not me. That's not what I want. When you're young, you're pretty dumb, and you think it's pretty cool to be around vicious people or people that are up to no good. But then, you know, anyway, just saying, like, it's quite easily to get wrapped up in this sort of stuff. And I'm not saying the stuff in Animal Kingdom, but stuff that's linked in to these people or these types of underworld figures, you know.
Obviously,
it's all sort of. That's why I find it relatable at times, because it's people that are. You know, you might be walking right next to them on the street and you won't even know sometimes, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's a lot of relatability in a lot of the, even if it's not, direct or I know what it's like to shoot someone or to
Nah.
be in a gang like this. There's sort of there's lots of different elements to it. Even if it's we've got the cop in it, the detective, and he's almost like a father figure. We can almost understand what he's thinking, he's looking at the younger boy, and he's trying to help him. So obviously that's a massive relatability, and the fact that they didn't try and glorify him either. They didn't try and I don't think anyone in this film was either glorified or vilified, and that's what's good about it. They didn't try and glorify the police. They didn't try and glorify the bad people. They just painted it as this big mess of a film, and that's what's good about it, And the police did plenty of bad things in this film, and yet they were happy to show it and show them that they're just as messy as all of the other characters in it.
I love that part when they spoilers. If you haven't seen Animal Kingdom, go watch it because it's probably going to ruin the film right now. Yeah. That part, all right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Joel Edgerton sitting in the car. Cops has come out and just blast him, half an hour through the film. You don't see it coming.
No.
Do you?
And it was right at that point where they're like...
What was your reaction to that?
Well, it sort of took me because we sort of had that moment where they're like, we should get out of this life. We should start trading in stocks and do all these different things to make our
stock market.
Our wealth. That's right. And it's like, okay, right. So we're going to start seeing it positive, and then all of a sudden, the person who wanted to change their life they didn't have a life, did they? So, and that's really sort of spun that, and that is criminal in its own right. What happens there. Yeah. Not even the police have the right to shoot someone
in cold blood
like that. That's right.
No.
It's one thing if you're in you're in the thick of it, shooting each other. You've got a fire. You've got a battle going on, and you're shooting each other, and you're sort of caught up in that moment. But this wasn't that. This was calculated. And so the first person to do the wrong thing in this film, portrayed in this film, is the police, because we haven't seen yet any of the other stuff that these guys have been doing. We've heard of it. We've been hearing. They've been talking about other stuff they've been doing, but we haven't seen it.
The bank robbing and all that, which they obviously can't do anymore because of, all the new task force that were out, and they mention it a few times. Like obviously that's why the older brother, or the Ben Mendelsohn character, Uncle Pope. Yeah. He's obviously been done for either armed robbery or something like that, and that's why there's a lot of heat on him. And he's been hiding out and whatnot. And then you got the other guy, Craig, who's just he's drug dealing and whatnot as well, and he's just a fucking mess. Yeah. I thought I love that character. He cracks me up every time I watch it. Mm-hmm. What do you think of that Craig character? Do you think it was pretty funny?
Yeah, no, I really thought that all of the characters were well-rounded in their own right, and they all had a reason to be in that film. I don't think there was any unnecessary characters. I think there was just enough to give give different aspects to this film. And that's the important thing with characters, right? Is that each character has a purpose. They should be there. There should be the exact amount of characters you need to tell a story, a well-rounded story with different points of views and different to be used in different milestones and different formats and different reasons. And so I think that's again this is mastery right there in the storytelling for this.
Just the way the family interacts with each other, with the mum.
Yeah, no, like she makes out with them. That's right.
It's all very full on, but it also makes sense to a degree as well. They're a very tight knit family, and she's just got this way with her family, and she's very I really liked the family with the girlfriend,
How, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
that's probably most relatable. How you could have like a family that's completely different, but you got this daughter that's kind of wants to rebel a little bit. At the same time, she's within a family that's very strict on their rules and very, you know, lack
Yeah.
a better word, normal. But yet she's still got that sort of other side where she wants to rebel. You know, teenage girl. That's what they want to do. They want to rebel and they want to try different things and see what that other side's like.
Played by Kenny.
Yeah, yeah. And he did so good in that.
Great.
He did really well.
Yeah, it's great just playing that sort of just a dad role, just a normal dad.
Yeah, that's it.
And yeah, the daughter's obviously rebelled a bit.
Yeah.
Done heroin and stuff like that. I think they mentioned she's dabbled or something like that.
It's funny
And,
because
obviously gets the hot shot by
yeah,
good old Ben Mendelsohn, Uncle Pope, and smothers her and gets rid of her.
Yeah, it's
Fucked up.
it's interesting how boring that family was actually painted. You just look at them and they've got no personality. They're just very. It is what you'd expect any family to be like, you know. When you go to your friend's place and you meet their family, and that's almost how it looks.
Yep.
You know, it just seems like that's what they're all like because you don't see anything else, and that's how they were painted in this.
Absolutely. And the music, I'm glad you mentioned the music earlier because the music in this film is just outstanding.
Spot on.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
It just works in absolute tandem with the way that it's shot, you know. I love the way that it's shot. However, David Michaud, the director, I mean, I'm a big fan of his. He's done another film that I just absolutely adore, which is The King. Him and Joel Edgerton, both done both of those films, and yeah, I don't know. There's something about his shooting style. I don't know if it's the cameras he uses or I don't know. The cinematographer. I don't know what it is, but it's just got this. The way he utilizes that visual grittiness or realness, the way he can capture actors performing on screen, and with an amazing audio like soundtrack, it just creates this power. It's just this, it's just the kind of films that I just really get excited by, you know, and I watch them multiple times because of that. Gets the tingles going up my spine and stuff like that, you know.
And I'm going to expand on the point that you just said and say that the editing of this is masterfully done, because the editing is you know, I'm always going back to storytelling, right? But and I sound like a broken record.
Nah.
But in editing, you know, look at any one scene. There's a purpose for that. The way you edit it, you don't just edit it, you know, however you want. This tells that story beautifully through the editing of it. It is amazingly edited, crafted.
Yeah, no, you nailed it. I always forget about that most important element, you know, the movement, the editing in this is
the flow.
Outstanding. The way it just can go from a real intense moment and just cut to like, I don't know, something on the TV or
something so mundane usually.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And with the music just playing, and it's just got this, even at the end part when, you know, when the kid rocks back up to the house and then it's just like, they're having a barbecue at the back. Go say hi to the boys. And he goes and says like, hi. It's like, you hungry? He's like, no. I'm just going to go lay down in my room. And then he goes and lays down, and then Uncle Pope walks in, sits in the bed, goes, crazy world, isn't it? And then he just shoots him in the head.
Yeah.
But it's not glorified. It's not like this. It's just like a real quick bang sort of moment. And it's just kind of, that's it.
Anti-Hollywood. It's really just simple. And I always find myself after the film thinking back at that last scene, because just of the, you know, that the thought processes that would have had to go through that character to walk out there, and then you go and, you know, give your, you know, grandma a hug. Yeah. And it's like in a very strange thing, you know, I just shot your son, but I need you to comfort me. It's a very strange thought process.
Dynamic.
Yeah, dynamic is very, and I kind of think back through the film, and he has been very naive to what she was actually trying to do throughout the film, and only ever saw her as this comforting figure that did save me after my mum OD'd.
Yeah, God.
So it's great that they did play with that side of things, where it's how he sees the world as well as, and he reacts in the world as he would with what he knows, rather than trying to paint the scene as what we know, and they have to always tell us what should be thought. The characters can have their own thoughts as well.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I love about the film. It's told almost through his eyes, and what nervous eyes he has. He plays the role so. I don't know if nervous is the way of putting it, but he's got this very naive. The actor who just sort of portrays the kid. He's just got this awesome demeanor about him that just works for the film, as a centerpiece for the film, and for that character to sort of be surrounded by such crazy animals.
Yeah.
And he's very much a fragile person, but at the same time has some hard bones in his body too when push comes to shove.
Yeah.
And but he just, that part where he goes around after his girlfriend is killed, and then he goes back to the family's home, and then he goes and he's like, "Oh, can I just use your toilet for a minute?" or whatever.
Yeah.
He goes in there and he breaks down, sees his girlfriend's clothes or whatnot and stuff in the bathroom, and he just starts crying. He just breaks down.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome moment, The acting is just phenomenal.
Yeah. It's I like that character was almost like a vessel that we needed to see the film through, and that's because he's very dry. He's very awkward, naive.
Yeah,
these are all
the
things.
Yeah,
It's great. That bounced very well off of these other larger than life characters that had a lot of egos and excitement and I'm the most important thing in this world and all that kind of stuff. That played very well off this character that's very shy and awkward and never really speaks out. But
it's frustrating.
Yeah.
You're just like, come on, just talk. Just come on, man. It's just like stumbling over his words. Even like he can't even get the words out. And it's just he's like, it's so frustrating. But at the same time, that's what just makes it brilliant.
But I think that character had to be like that so that we could almost be looking at, because we're almost looking at that film with that awkwardness too, because we're like, like they're doing what now? This is what's happening, and we're almost looking at it and lost for words as well. So to have a character that we can use as a vessel works very well in that sort of context.
And I guess that's why this film's been so successful, because every element in that, like you're saying, it's all worked as strengths. Everything, all the decisions that were made have just all worked so well at the end of the day. And no wonder this film's been so successful.
Yeah.
And it's great. This is why I nominated this film as our first one, because I knew you hadn't seen it, and it's one of my most beloved Aussie films, and I just thought, I can't wait to hear your reaction, because I know these are not the type of films that you'd go out of your way to go see necessarily, right?
No, that's, you're right. If I'm honest, I normally stay away from these sort of crimey sort of, these kind of, underbelly kind of sort of stuff. I'm very, I don't know anything about, I'm very naive to it, I suppose. I've used that term with the other character, but...
That's exactly what I thought. And I thought, this is the perfect film for you to see, you know, because you don't have to be into these kind of films to enjoy it. It's not like those other films. It doesn't glorify it. It doesn't it's very emotional, and it's just expert filmmaking. You know, for an Aussie film shot in Melbourne,
Yeah.
it doesn't get any better than this. This is like Academy Award winning material, you know, if you want to put Academy Awards as a benchmark of any kind of,
Yeah.
you know,
the top tier.
Top tier. It doesn't get better than this, and I haven't seen an Aussie film better than this since, or, you know, this is probably in my number one, if not my top three Aussie films, you know.
Yeah.
Crime drama would be my number one Aussie film. Ben Mendelsohn, Joel Edgerton.
Go in and watch it dry. If you've listened to this, you shouldn't have. You should have watched it first. It's definitely one to just go in and watch, you know, knowing nothing about it, because there is so much in it, and there is so much human elements to it. There's so much. I love the rough and the dirty side of it, how it isn't trying to paint any picture here. It's just saying this is what it is. Yeah. Take it how you will. And I'm going to leave it there with my thoughts. But that's how it really is. It is just saying here is the mud in your face.
What's next? What's next on the Aussie film? Like I said, we've done the hard-hitting one now. It's your choice.
All right.
Your decision.
I'm going to, because we've mentioned this one a few times.
Hit it.
Ned Kelly. This Australian story, the story of Ned Kelly, is very interesting, and this one is close to my heart. This is the kind of historical film which I've sort of leaned towards. So you probably haven't watched it, but I believe you got my DVD, so you can give it a watch.
I do. It's right. I know exactly where it is, and I've had it ready to go. So
good. So give it a watch, and then we can get into it. And
I thought you were going to pick the nugget for a moment.
The nugget will come next.
Yeah. Well, it's my nomination next, so I'm going to have to surprise you.
All right.
And it's not going to be Snowtown, because you would not be able to watch that.
Right. I think I might have seen part of that one.
That's one that we're not going to go, because I can't even watch that film again.
Yeah.
It made me feel sick. You know.
Yeah.
I'm not never going to watch that film again, even though I bought it.
Yeah.
Academy in line.
Yeah. We'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, ring that bell. If you're listening to us on our podcast channels, go watch our YouTube. We haven't made too much content lately, but there's going to be more. Life gets in the way, but get on there and we'll see you next time. Get involved.
And we'll see you down the tracks for the next one.
See you later.
Adios.
Thanks for watching Mini Academy Online. If you'd like to explore more of our content, click on this or click on that. Like and subscribe, thumbs up, ring bells, do a dance, sing a song, drink a hot cup of tea or coffee, and I'll see you in the next one.